Hey folks, welcome. In this lesson, we're going to talk about web identity federation and cross-region replication with DynamoDB. Now, I want to stress that these are two different operations. They're related in that you're providing access to DynamoDB from outside of your account, but they're two separate operations. We're going to do a walkthrough on web identity federation, and we'll discuss some key points on cross-region replication. So let's start with web identity federation for DynamoDB. We're going to create a trivia scores table for an application that needs to support thousands of users. Well, we're not going to add thousands of users in IAM. What we can do is use web identity federation. So the users will have to have a third-party account with a provider such as Facebook, Amazon, or Google. And when we give them access, we need to ensure that each user can only access their own data in the trivia scores table. So we'll leverage their social media accounts to provide authentication to our DynamoDB table. So how do we do this with web identity federation? Well, we will register the app with an identity provider such as Amazon and obtain a unique app ID. Then we'll create an IAM role, which will access the DynamoDB table. The role must have an IAM policy document attached to it, specifying the conditions under which the app can access our trivia scores table. So when a user wants to play a trivia game, they sign in with their social media account from within the gaming app. The application calls STS, Security Token Service, providing the login with the Amazon App ID and requesting membership and requesting access. STS returns temporary AWS credentials to the app and allows it to access the trivia scores table. So when thinking about use cases, you have a commercial application with thousands of users. You want to provide quick yet secure access to your DynamoDB table. That is a use case for web identity federation. All right, so let's go ahead and configure this. Let's go into DynamoDB and we'll create a table. Let's call it Trivia Scores. All right, partition key, let's call it user ID, and let's add a sort key. We'll call it Trivia Title, and let's click Create. All right, the table has been built. Now what we want is access control. And for the identity provider, let's choose Login with Amazon. And we can choose which actions the users have access to. Let's just select all. Same thing with attributes. Now let's limit this a little bit. Let's select specific attributes. We already have user ID, trivia title. Let's add a couple more. All right, now we can create a policy from this. Now, let's click Attach Policy Instructions. And if you read through this, it's telling us to and actually explaining how to create an IAM role. Let's copy our policy and go over to IAM. Let's go into Roles, and let's create a new role. Select type of trusted entity. We want web identity. All right, now the application ID, this is what we would get from Amazon. I'm just going to fake it, and let's click Next. So let's go ahead and click Create Policy. And we can plug in our policy and click Create. Now we need to give our role a name and click Create Role. All right, so there is our new role. And when we click on it, we see that our policy is attached to it. And note here, trusted entity is Amazon. So that is what we want. So the end users, when they want to play a trivia game, they would log in to the application from Amazon, and this role is pretty much a liaison between the user and the DynamoDB table, which has their trivia information. So, looking at our diagram, they log in through Amazon. The application calls STS and gets those temporary credentials. While they're playing the game with these temporary credentials, they're going to have access to the DynamoDB table. Now, again, thinking about use cases. So you have a large number of users outside of your account who need access to DynamoDB. How do you get them access? Web Identity Federation. Now, let's touch on cross-region replication a little bit. So cross-region replication allows identical copies of a DynamoDB table. These copies are called replicas. The DynamoDB table is called the master table. So you can have copies of this table in more than one region. Now, some key points about cross-region replication. Writes to the table will automatically be propagated to all replicas, whereas reads are updated asynchronously. So your reads can have a slight delay. So how is this cross-region replication performed? Well, it can be done with DynamoDB streams. Now, unfortunately, the DevOps Pro certification can lag behind the technology that's actually available. When you see a scenario question and you're looking at cross-region replication, don't be alarmed if you don't see DynamoDB streams as an answer. The alternative previous to DynamoDB streams was to use data pipeline. So those are your keywords. Cross-region replicating DynamoDB. It's either going to be DynamoDB streams or data pipeline. Now, what are some of the use cases? Well, this is great for disaster recovery. So if you see a scenario question relating to DR, think about cross-region replication. Another use case, customers in multiple regions. You can have faster reads by replicating your data in different regions to accommodate your user base. And cross-region replication can be useful for data migration as well. Just think about that. You have a DynamoDB table in one region. You need it in another region. Well, you set up cross-region replication. And quickly you can get your data into another region. So that's a look at Web Identity Federation and cross-region replication with DynamoDB. As always, just have a good grasp on the use cases that we discussed in this lesson, and it will serve you well on the DevOps Pro certification exam. And with that, we have completed this lesson. Let's move on to the next.